Well, it's a good week when it's a bad week for the mainstream media. Conservatives have been hitting the mainstream media really hard for its corrupt coverage of Kamala Harris this week. Tom Cotton destroyed one of the worst leftist shill hosts in America, Jonathan Karl, and it's fantastic from start to finish. Take a look.
With Kamala Harris, who has supported things like decriminalizing illegal immigration or giving taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal aliens or taking away health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, banning gas cars, confiscating firearms.
What do you mean taking away health insurance? What are you talking about?
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, John.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now.
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she says she no longer supports Medicare for all.
She has not said that. Okay. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that, but the last thing that she said.
But this was not a radical convention. I mean, she as you heard me go through with Bernie Sanders, she is not taking the positions of the far left of her party. She's clearly making an effort to move to the middle.
I did hear what you said to Senator Sanders, and I thought it was clear that he's very disappointed that she's taking these efforts not to change her positions, but to hide her positions, John. The American people are totally justified to conclude that Kamala Harris is a dangerous San Francisco liberal based on what she campaigned on the last time she ran for president and what this administration has done for the last 4 years. Again, you would have thought watching the Democratic convention last week that the Democrats are not in office, that they're not in power, that they're campaigning against an incumbent Republican, when in reality, she's been part of the failures of the Biden-Harris administration for 4 years. And when she campaigned for president, in her own right, she did in fact promise things like decriminalizing illegal immigration and taking away health insurance.
But that's his position she's clearly changed on, and she has said she has changed. Yes, she has.
No, she has not. John, she has not said that.
Tom Cotton is great. How anyone could look at the media and say that the way that they act towards Republicans or towards Trump and then the way that they act towards Kamala Harris and that they're the same somehow, it's beyond me. John's instinct is just, you can see throughout the interview, John's instinct is instead of kind of criticizing ideas, Kamala Harris's ideas, also Tom Cotton's ideas, instead of doing that, his whole strategy and his whole, like literally the purpose, the reason why he's on there, you can see in his face, it's to defend Kamala Harris and the Democrat machine. And you can see that when he tries to tell Tom Cotton, that Kamala Harris no longer believes something, you can see it in his eyes, that he is actively trying to defend her. Again, he's not trying to get to the truth. He's not trying to even ask Tom Cotton questions, really. He's just about defending. Let me defend I have to defend the Democrat machine at all costs. I don't know how anyone doesn't know that. But the last time we heard Kamala Harris, again, the reason why I say that is because no one needs to, as Tom Cotton did, no one needs to even ask the questions that Jonathan Karl were asking, because the last time we heard Kamala Harris's voice about her beliefs was when she was running for president in 2020. If Kamala Harris had come out in 2022, 2023, or now and talked about some of the policies that she'd addressed in 2020 and been like, well, I don't believe that anymore, or no, I don't really think that anymore, we could have a conversation about, well, do we think she's legit? Do we not think she's legit? But let's be clear about this. She's never even spoken to those policies again. That's the whole point that Tom Cotton is making. It's not like she said that in 2020, but does she believe that now? Like, she kind of talked differently. No, she doesn't talk about her policies ever. So the last time that she talked about some of these policies, like abolishing private health care, was in 2020, which really wasn't long ago. It was only 4 years ago. So yeah, she still believes it. And then, of course, Jonathan Karl's over there saying, no, she doesn't still believe that. How do you know? Literally, how do you know? She hasn't rolled out any new policy positions or clarifications. If you go to her website right now, there's nothing there about policy. There's tons of pronouns. There's ways to give her plenty of money, but there's no policies. Juxtapose that to Trump and Vance's campaign, and they've got all their policy positions out there. The Republican Party platform just recently updated their position, so all of that's out there. And by the way, if you just watch any of their press conferences, they do one about every single day. I'd say at least 4 a week. You'll know exactly what they believe. It's very easy, but that's not the truth. That's not the case with Kamala Harris. Usually we would have answers because the media would have asked her a question, but instead they're spending their time defending her. And of course, she isn't going to be running to be asked questions either, especially with her, it's clear to see what her strategy is at this point. And so it's then incumbent on the media to go and find her and ask the questions. They're not doing it. No one cares. Now, the best part I will say about what Tom Cotton said was at the end when he talked about Democrats running against themselves. It is stunning how many people out there are buying into this weird lie that Kamala Harris will change things when she's president. And a lot of people have made this point online. I'm not the first one to make it. She's vice president right now. She's in the administration. And throughout the whole time, she's been marrying herself to Joe Biden. It's not like she's really distancing herself. I mean, she's kind of trying to now, but she wasn't before. She literally said that she was the last person in the room when the Afghanistan pullout happened. So she's been very happy up until this point to be Kamala and Biden. It's obvious to see why she wouldn't want to be that way now. But it's very dishonest at the same time for the media to really gaslight you into saying, oh, no. She's running against Trump because Trump is the incumbent. What? Kamala Harris is the vice president right now. Biden and her supposedly do everything together. How could anyone believe that they would change America for the better if they're not changing America right now? And if you like what's going on right now, I understand why you would vote for Kamala Harris. Like, that's what it comes down to. I mean, the election truly is that simple. If you like what's going on in America right now, you're going to vote for Kamala Harris, and there's really nothing Republicans can do to convince you otherwise. I mean, if you like it right now, I just don't even know what to say to you. There's really no argument to be had, right? Like, if you like paying 50% more for a new house, you love grocery prices being up 22%, gas being up 30%. It's not just that, though. You love illegal immigrants, running into our country, especially if you're living down on the border. If you love those things, then yeah, I mean, there's nothing that anyone could say to you to convince you otherwise. Again, the true suckers, though, in the election, I've said this before, are those who suddenly they think that Kamala Harris is going to change anything for them. She will not. Those are the true suckers. Again, if you like how it is right now and you vote for Kamala Harris, well, fair enough, right? Like, that's an educated decision. I think it's super stupid. I mean, there's more harsh words than stupid that I would use to describe you. But you're right. It won't change. I mean, it'll be the same. But if you truly believe that if you do not like the direction America is going in right now, which most Americans say that they don't, and you think it will change under Kamala Harris, I just don't even know what to say to you. I mean, you're being completely deceived, but you're kind of choosing to be deceived at that point because it's so painfully obvious what's going on. Again, the message is quite simple that Republicans need to tell. If you liked 2017 to 2020, vote for Trump. It's just that simple. Because those who like now more aren't going to be convinced to vote Republican. It's not going to happen. So the battle then is those who believe that Kamala Harris will make things different. We have to convince them that is not true. And it's fairly, on one hand, it's very hard because the media is fighting against you. On one hand, it's very, very easy because it's just clear as day. Well, that wasn't the only bad look for the media this week, guys, but the other one was ironically kind of mainstream media on mainstream media. I'll show it for you right here. An MSNBC host kind of said the quiet part out loud about illegal immigration and voting. It's really interesting. Take a look.
So let me ask you, Sohail, just a follow-up question. Again, forgive me for being slow here, but it's just what I do. If it's already against the law for people who aren't American citizens to vote in elections, then why would the Democrats oppose the bill? What do they say the harm is in this bill? It basically just repeats what the law already is.
Yeah, it repeats what the law already is, but it creates some new burdens to go and register to vote. For instance, you need a passport. You might need a birth certificate. A lot of people don't have those documents readily on them, and the idea is it could disenfranchise them. The Democrats argue that this is a solution in search of a problem, that there's no problem here. You already have to attest under severe criminal penalties that you're a citizen in order to register anywhere, and states can set different laws as they please. This would set a nationwide standard, Democrats argue. But Republicans are happy to tout this issue. If you simply poll, should there be requirements like this, proof of citizenship to vote, many Republicans see that as a winning issue, and they've passed this bill through the House of Representatives already, Joe. The question is, do they want to pick this fight in the context of a government funding standoff?
New burdens to vote, like proving you're a citizen of the United States. That's tough. That's really hard. And as Democrats have pointed out, minorities are just so bad at getting IDs. I don't know what it is, but somehow minorities just aren't capable of going to the DMV and getting an ID, which is just it's offensive. Like, it really is offensive. Like, you literally have a party where 85% of the black population identifies with this party, and you're looking them in the eyes and you're saying you are not capable of getting an ID. You're not. White Americans, yeah, oh yeah. White Americans could do it, no problem. It's easy for them. But black Americans, never gonna happen. So offensive, so unbelievably offensive. It's crazy that anyone would vote for Democrat after saying that. So again, let's just review. If I have say I have a 4-year-old son, and I want to take him on my cruise with my wife and I to Jamaica, we have to get a passport because he's leaving the country. It's not really so much about going to Jamaica. I'm sure they would like having us there, so we'll spend our money there. But it's about coming back to the United States. We have to have a passport to come back, right? But the 40-year-old illegal immigrants from Mexico living next to me don't have to have one in order to just vote for president. They could vote for president. They could vote for, the local leaders in their state. Or better yet, why can't the lady down the street from me go get an ID to vote? Who is a citizen? She's a citizen. But you're telling me that a 4-year-old has to get a passport to come back in the country, but an actual citizen of the United States doesn't just have to get an ID to go vote. And seriously, what's stopping her? And by the way, in this analogy, the 4-year-old son going to Jamaica, way less important than someone actually voting. Like, honestly, like someone leaving the country and coming back, it's important. It's really important. I'm not saying it's not. Again, I'm not anti-passport, but someone actually voting in your election is, in the greatest nation on earth, something that's going to affect not just America, but the whole world, is a much bigger deal. So here's the question, and I have to get to the bottom of this because people aren't talking about this enough. Why do Democrats not want IDs? This is something I'm huge on, but we can talk all day long about these bad things that people are doing. But if there's no incentives behind them, then the argument is it's just complaining. You're just complaining at that point, and I don't really think you know what you're talking about. And frankly, this happens way too often on the right. People are complaining about something. It's a legit issue. I'm not saying, people don't complain about good things, but if you can't identify the incentive behind it, you're just blowing smoke. And so what is the incentive for Democrats to push not having IDs? Because there is a reason, and I actually don't believe it's because they want illegals to vote. I don't think it is. There's not a lot of evidence that there are tons of illegal immigrants voting. And as I said, it's really not, the problem is not that illegal immigrants are going to vote, it's that they're going to have children in the United States who will then be citizens and will vote Democrat. That's a discussion for another day, but that's why Democrats want illegal immigrants in our country. But the question is, why would they not want IDs right now? And again, I don't think it's that. It just really doesn't happen that much. There's just not that many Mexican immigrants who come here and they're like, I know, I'm going to go try to vote. It just doesn't happen. So, but there is a reason. And what the reason is that they want to ballot harvest. And they can't do that if someone has to show up with an ID to an in-person ballot. If you have to go in person, show an ID, there's no ballot harvesting. And if you don't know what ballot harvesting is, it's when you go to someone's door, because there's mail-in ballots. You're a Democrat, you knock on the door, or a Republican could do it as well, they just don't do it. And they knock on the door, and they say, do you have your ballot? And they say, oh yeah, I think that got mailed to me. Say, awesome, who are you thinking of voting for? And they say, I don't know, I was thinking of voting for Kamala Harris. Awesome, I'm actually just delivering them. You want to just go fill in that and sign your name really quick, and I'll just go deliver it for you. And they go, oh my gosh, that's so easy. Awesome, let's do it. And if they're saying, I think I'm going to vote for Trump, then they'll obviously try to pitch you to vote for Kamala Harris. So in other words, it's not convince someone. It is a little bit about convincing people, but more than that, it is about turnout. And turnout is what is rarely talked about, but turnout wins elections. They want to be able to go door to door and tell people who to vote for and then take their ballot and deliver it for them. Democrats are so good at this. It's why they win elections. For whatever reason, Republicans don't do this. The one time that I know Republicans did this, and they did it very effectively, was in Florida. Ron DeSantis specifically said, okay, if they're going to do that crap, because it is legal, by the way, this is not an illegal thing. Ron DeSantis said, if they're going to go do that crap, we're going to do this crap. And as soon as Republicans actually did it, we saw in Florida a red wave that happened nowhere else. And it's because Republicans have to play by those same rules. They're super intense. They're super smart about these things, the Democrats. And again, it's legal, but Republicans are fighting to make it illegal, which is great. But in the meantime, we have to play by those same rules in order to win elections. And then finally, when we win elections, actually having the House and the Senate, then you can pass voter ID laws and it won't be necessary anymore. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Please go down below, comment, like, and subscribe, and watch another video.